I'm Ocean Robbins, co-founder of the Food Revolution Network and co-host of the Food Revolution Summit. I want to congratulate you again on your choice to join us. This is the first in a series of videos that we'll be sharing to help you to start activating your own food revolution, even before the summit begins. Now, in today's video, I'm going to get a little personal. I'm going to share with you my family's food story. It's a story with rags, riches, heart attacks, and healing. It's a story of ice cream, 31 flavors of ice cream, and it's also a story of health and of transformation. I'm also going to give you some of my top insights on the history, the reality, and the future of food. And I'll let you know more about what to expect in this amazing summit. Spoiler alert, it's going to be awesome. So to begin the family story, let's go back a few generations. In the 1940s, my grandfather, Irvin Robbins, was the co-founder and co-owner of an ice cream company. You may have heard of it. It's called Baskin-Robbins, 31 flavors. My dad, John, grew up with an ice cream cone-shaped swimming pool. He was groomed from childhood to one day take over and run the company, and he took it upon himself to be intimately familiar with every flavor Baskin-Robbins made. He helped to invent flavors, including Jamocha almond fudge. But when my dad was in his early 20s, his uncle, Bert Baskin, who was my grandpa's brother-in-law and business partner, became seriously ill with heart disease that quickly took his life. My dad's uncle, Bert, was a big man. He always enjoyed the family product. He loved life, and it was tragic that with all of his business success, his life was taken from him in his early 50s. I never even got to meet my dad's uncle because this was all before I was born, so I only know about him from family stories. Around that time, as he faced the loss of his business partner, my grandpa invited my dad to join him in running the company. My dad thought about it long and hard, but in the end, he said no. He just couldn't spend his life selling a product that might contribute to making people, including perhaps his own uncle, sick. So he walked away from the company and from any access to the family wealth to, as we jokingly say in our family, follow his own rocky road. My mom and dad moved to a little island off the coast of Canada, where they built a one-room log cabin. I was born in that cabin to parents who were living very simply, growing most of their own food, practicing yoga and meditation for several hours a day, and who named their kid Ocean. As I grew up, our family moved down to California, and my dad wound up becoming a best-selling author, writing about food and health and sustainability. The media had a lot of fun with his story, and they called him the rebel without a cone. His books sold more than 2 million copies. One of his readers ended up being his own father, my grandpa, Irvin Robbins. See, in 1990, Grandpa Irv, who had always eaten a standard American diet and a huge amount of ice cream, was suffering from serious heart disease, diabetes, and a whole bunch of other health problems. His doctors told him he only had a few years to live. But then Grandpa Irv decided to follow his son's advice. He started eating a lot less processed foods, a lot less sugar, a lot less meat, and a lot more vegetables. He even gave up ice cream. Before long, he had gotten off all his blood pressure and diabetes medications. He'd lost 30 pounds. His golf game had improved by 7 strokes. He wound up living another 18 healthy years. Now, around that same time, my dad and I were running marathons together. And I'll always remember fondly how my grandpa used to cheer us on when we passed him, while he was out taking his daily hour-long walk. So we have seen in our family the powerful impact that food can have on your life and on your health. If my grandpa, who was always known as one stubborn cookie and who manufactured and sold more ice cream than any human being who has ever lived on this planet, could make radical dietary changes, could even give up ice cream, I think there's got to be some hope for the rest of us. And on the other side of positive changes is a healthier and a more fulfilling life. That is the kind of transformation that I know is possible for you and for your loved ones. That is how powerful food is. As you might be able to tell by now, I grew up with a pretty unusual dad. He was the renegade who walked away from an ice cream fortune, and he was a powerful example of standing for values and of what can happen when we walk our talk. I got started pretty early myself, and in 1990, at the age of 16, I founded a nonprofit organization called Yes, which I directed for 20 years. We led workshops and seminars for more than 650,000 young leaders from 65 nations. Our goal was to empower the next generation of global change makers to stand up for healthy people and for a healthy planet. One of the things I saw as I worked with diverse people all over the globe is that everybody eats. And I saw that the American way of eating was being exported all over the planet. I saw that as people moved away from their local foods and traditional diets, and as KFC and McDonald's and Coca-Cola were spreading, people's waistlines were expanding, and so were their rates of disease. I also saw that as GMOs and pesticide-dependent agriculture were spreading, so were rates of cancer, farmer suicide, and environmental pollution. So in 2012, I moved on from directing Yes to join forces with my dad directly, and we launched the Food Revolution Network. We and our more than 350,000 members are working for healthy, sustainable, humane, delicious food for everyone. So why, you might ask, are we calling for a food revolution? Some people think that's kind of strong language. Frankly, with where things have gotten, I think a revolution in our food is about the only sane option we have if we want to be healthy and if we want a healthy world. This is no time for food that's a bit less toxic. It's not a time for a little less pesticides, hormones, antibiotics, added sugars, additives, colorings, and processing. If we really want health, then this is a time for a revolution. The way I see it, Food 1.0 is about survival. If you could get enough calories to fill your belly and carry on for another day, that was success. And for many people in the world, tragically, survival is still the goal. In Food 2.0, which is dominant in much of the developed world today, the fundamental organizing principle of food is commerce. Our modern food system gives us an incredible range of tastes and textures from all over the planet, and it's financially profitable for a few, but it has become morally bankrupt for all of us. In Food 2.0, it's now considered normal to eat food that's laced with added sugars, chemicals, flavorings, colors, hormones, pesticides, even antibiotics. Our food system has become, in many ways, toxic, and it's now contributing to epidemic rates of illness. In the US, more than 2/3 of the population is now overweight or obese, and heart disease and stroke are killing more than 700,000 people every year. The National Institutes of Health reports that in the 1960s, less than 2% of America's kids had a chronic health ailment. Today, it's over 25%. 1 in 3 American kids is expected to get diabetes. As you probably already know, all of these conditions are directly linked to lifestyle and food choices. Food 2.0 brings us a food system that's systematically cruel to farm workers and animals, unsustainable for our planet, and that is killing us by the millions. That's why it's time for Food 3.0. In Food 3.0, the central organizing principle of our food systems is health. Health for people and health for the planet. Food 3.0 means vastly lower rates of chronic illness, which could save us trillions of dollars in medical care and lead to a healthier and a more capable population. Food 3.0 means a more sustainable and productive economy. And let me be very clear, I've got no problem with people making money. I just want to see healthy profits made from healthy food. I want to thank you for all the ways that you take a stand for transformation in our food systems. You are standing for a food revolution every time that you choose real food over processed junk. Every time you say yes to local, organic, natural, sustainable, fair trade food that is produced with respect for farm workers, animals, people, and the whole planet. And every time that you choose to stand for food, not just as a commodity, but also as a community, a web of relations that literally becomes us. In the Food Revolution Summit, you're going to get support from some of the guiding lights of Food 3.0. The knowledge in this summit will distill a lifetime of work from some of the world's most courageous and game-changing food leaders. You'll get leading-edge nutritional insights and knowledge that could not only help you, but also help you support the people that you love. The summit runs from April 29 to May 7. Each day of the summit, you're going to hear my dad and colleague, best-selling author John Robbins, personally conducting 3 more penetrating interviews. We'll broadcast interviews at 8, 9, and 10 a.m. Pacific time, and I'll be there with you after each interview to share what I got from it, to answer your questions, and to help you put it all into action. If you can't join in live, then you can catch any of the interviews on 21-hour replay. So now you know a little bit about my family story and why my dad and I are both so deeply passionate about the food revolution. In the next video, you're going to get to meet my dad, John Robbins. You'll see why he's become an inspiration to millions. And you'll hear his take on what kind of a food revolution we really need, and on how the Food Revolution Summit can help you to thrive in every dimension of your life. I urge you to watch this next video in entirety, because some of what my dad will share might surprise you. It might even shock you. And I promise it will also inspire you. And I want to invite you to spread the word about this summit to your friends and to your loved ones. Food is the foundation of health, and health is the greatest gift you could ever give someone. When you tell loved ones about this summit, you're making an investment in their well-being that could very well last a lifetime. Step by step, one bite at a time, we can change the world, and we are changing the world together. I wish you fabulous, healthy food, and I'll see you in the summit.